All right, I'm out at my rental property right here behind us. Tenants just moved out. Pretty disappointed originally with how dirty it was, so we're gonna take another look now today. Art Vasquez, real estate expert, here to give me some advice. Hey Art, what do you think of that gift that they left us there? If that's any indication.
I was doing a class and I was just telling people that the biggest disappointment in renting is when you rent out your primary residence, because nobody will ever take care of it like you will. And I tell them, sell the primary. Even if you bought another one, sell your old primary and buy a duplex, buy a triplex, or buy any other property, because you will truly be disappointed when you walk into that house because they will not take care of it.
I remember that being the case. This is actually a primary from like 17 years ago. So that was the original feeling. And I'll tell you, that's long gone. This is a rental property that currently goes for $2,400 a month. Got a lot of wear and tear on it. The tenants that just moved out were 4 gentlemen in their 20s, and man, oh man, was that disgusting.
Do we have to go in the bathrooms?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That's our farm. That's our corn crop.
Oh, you got a basement too.
Yeah, there's a basement. I want to finish it. Add a 5th bedroom. So this will be a decision based on whether or not we choose to sell. Chances are we'll be pulling a debt weapon out of this. Get a non-owner occ HELOC. Take the HELOC and put it into some new projects that we're working on.
See, that's a good point, Matt, because there's 2 fix-ups that we do. There's resale fix-up, and that's a different quality than putting it in good rental condition. Literally, it's half to put it in rental condition.
I learned that from you 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So rent ready, you'll spend about half of what you'd pay if you were trying to get purchase ready. Look at this, man. This is just...
Oh, that's nasty.
So look at this pile that they've decided to leave. That squeak. So we've got a dump hauler coming on Friday.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle.
So right here, when this downspout came down, and this is something that we always talk about, is making sure that you don't have negative pitch. You got a slight negative pitch, so this needs to come down, and we need to make sure it extends out so that the water runs away from the property.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing the new concrete out here too, I think.
Oh, are you? Oh yeah, right here where it started, for the water started, this is what they call spalding, when it starts to pill from the top.
Well, I think it's going to be a basic project if I just want to get it back on the market to rent it.
I mean, it does really have good curb appeal from this angle. And we even go a little further out. This is where the picture should be taken for the resale, if you decide to resell.
Okay.
That's good. I'm not here saying that I'm going to blame some other company. I always said that when my title company failed, there was only one person to blame, and that was myself. Right now, I have people that come up to me, Matt, and they know my story, and they're like, wow, that title company that was your underwriter, they closed you down and they opened up their own title company going after the Hispanic community 1 floor above yours, and they just waited for you to make one mistake before they took advantage of it. You know, you always talk about forgiveness, Art. Have you forgiven them? And I say, no, I haven't. And they're like, well, then forgiveness isn't a big thing. No, I said, I didn't forgive them because I never blamed them. I blame myself. I'm the one who made 2 left turns when I should have made a right turn. And so I think, Matt, when you have a big financial failure, you know, this, Matt, all of our failures are a down payment on future success. That just happened to be the biggest down payment that I've ever made in my entire life. And I don't regret going through it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy either. And I would never want to go through it again. But what I learned from that completely changed who I am as a human being and who I am as an entrepreneur. And yes, I didn't have to forgive them because I never blamed them. If I didn't make the mistakes I made, there would have never been an opportunity for them to close us down.
That's exactly how it went for me with Dave Burke. You and I both have this kind of similar history where we've got this skeleton, so to speak, in our closet, and we have to live through that as entrepreneurs. And I think it's not something you go into business expecting to happen, where there's going to be this black eye, this blemish.
Right.
And yet, the more experience I get as an entrepreneur and the more experienced entrepreneurs I get to hang out with, the fewer I meet that don't have something lingering around, right? The more I look into them. So I guess one of the things I was wanting to ask you about was, how do we avoid really shitty partnerships? Because one of the things I've always loved about you and about our relationship is that it's always been super honest. And I know that hasn't always been easy, because I'll admit that because I had been through bad partnerships, I always have this hint of doubt in the back of my mind, like, who's going to be the next person that might make me look bad, because I'm so desperate to preserve reputation. And so I'm experiencing that right now. Okay, so I've got a guy who I put a lot of belief into, but there's just birds chirping, and it's given cause for concern, like just cause for pause, if at a bare minimum. And I'm just wondering, okay, like, I knew about certain things, but so many people who have been through things like you and myself and this person, where they had this skeleton, they can explain it so easily. They can explain it almost away, to where I hear the explanation, I go, well, there are always two sides to a story. Just like I like to believe that my side is valid, right? I teamed up with Dave Burke. Dave Burke ended up being a shadester. I blew the whistle on the guy, did everything I could, including almost throwing away my career, in order to get the word out. And it really haunted us for a long time, right? And I like to think that I am a do what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it kind of guy.
Right.
But I still had to, for many years, kind of overcome that.
I've faced that, and here's what I would say, Matt, is that, look, no one's going to bat 1,000 doing anything in life. And either you know that in any relationship, you have two ways of entering any relationship, whether it's business or personal. I trust you until you give me a reason not to, or I don't trust you until you give me a reason to trust. And you know the latter never works. What I say is that you give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, you're gonna look for the obvious. Experience allows you to start to see where the holes are in relationships. And you got to go into every single beginning of a relationship when you make the first introduction, or you're introduced as, I'm going to trust till this person gives me a reason not to, or until there's something they say that I have to question, that there's not a good enough answer for, and then make a decision at that point. But the fact is, I've had some great partnerships, Matt, and I've had some bad partnerships. In fact, I have a bad partnership that I'm having to address right now. But I have one that's created 4 times more wealth than the hurt from this other opportunity, which still wealth was created, just not as great because it was a bad partnership. I think it's a matter of recognizing it. And of course, remember, you get kicked in the head a few times. You'll know before you get in those relationships, you'll start to see the red flags, and then you'll make a decision to pull back. But you
just have to have deal breakers, right?
There has
Set
to be deal
boundaries,
breakers. Absolutely,
and be really crystal clear with what your priorities are. My priorities has always been you, the audience. And so that's why I like people like Art, and shout out to Mr. Vasquez here. Art has been a long-time friend. I want to say going back to a decade now. Art and I started doing classes called The Power of Plus One. Art's done an insane amount of real estate deals. How many deals are you at now, roughly?
As an investor, my partner and I, from 2009 to 16, sold over 600 properties. I had to start over, as you know, Matt, back in 2006. And since then, it took me 4 years to get out of debt, which is the big step, right? And then from 2009 to present, I, got 65 rental properties.
But he had, listen, Art went for it. He had an amazing company that fell apart, basically leaving him holding the bag on 7 figures worth of debt that he chose to pay back, never filed bankruptcy. Mad respect for this guy right here. And not only that, but there was a point in time where Art showed up. I remember him coming to my building and literally handing me a check for really no reason other than good faith, something around $5,000, really just expressing gratitude for, I guess some of the introductions that I had made. He I lined him up with some of my folks that did a bunch of deals together. At the end of the day, guys, it's connections that make it work, and it's the connections that you've got to be the most careful about. And so I think that's a really powerful lesson here is to just really do your homework. I had a great conversation with a coaching student yesterday, not an actual member, but somebody that I was giving a free session to. Make sure you get your free coaching session in the description below by going to freecoachingcalendar.com. And I was reassuring that person to take their time and not just simply jump into this partnership, this business partnership. He had this idea with a website and it was already monetizing, and he was getting ready to work with this individual. And I just reminded him to treat it very much like getting married. You cannot look at it any less seriously than that, because when it doesn't work, it can be really, really nasty. And I've had multiple partnerships that didn't work. Not one of them was fun. They both felt like divorces. And even if you're amicable, there are still differences in opinions oftentimes. Even when you're friendly, there are still differences of opinion. So do your homework and create a bulletproof partnership agreement going in that is ironclad, that details every possible outcome and scenario, so that you guys aren't trying to fight about it when people aren't happy. When you're doing it in the beginning and everybody's excited, then you can think a lot more clearly about it, and you'll be, if it ever doesn't work out, you're protected. So guys,
That's good advice.
Art, thanks a lot for
My pleasure.
And we're gonna go check out this rental property, guys. Art's here with me to give me some suggestions, and don't forget to bring in your coaches on your deals too. Talk to you soon.